Let's talk about inflation. And this is important because, Eric Ledoux and Eric Hayes and many others here somehow want to blame government for inflation. The truth of the matter is the government has very little to do with inflation. Now, the Federal Reserve can clamp down on the money supply, okay? They can clamp down on the money supply to slow the economy down. When the economy slows down, inflation goes down. And why inflation goes down? Because these people who are the thugs have to lower the price of their products so that people start buying them again. Okay, that's how it works. In other words, I increase the interest rates, there's more money taken out of the economy, all that sort of stuff. Now, what really should cause inflation in a true... I want to talk about three items. Supply and demand, número uno. Número dos, pricing power. And número tres, whatever the market can bear. All right? And I'm going to start with whatever the market can bear. What that means is whenever a company is going to price their products, the first thing they have to know is what is their break-even spot. In other words, if I'm selling gasoline, I need to know how much that gasoline costs me per gallon. And within that gallon of gasoline is how much does it cost to frack it, meaning to turn it from petroleum into gasoline in the frackers. It also tells me how much I am going to spend to deliver the gasoline, how much I'm going to pay for insurance and all of that kind of stuff to keep the company running. And after I add up all those costs, I divide it into the number of gallons of gasoline that I would sell, and that tells me what my break-even point is going to be. In other words, I have to recover all those salaries that without profit, that's my break-even point. If I sell gasoline at this price, I can't go below that, or else I constantly lose money. So that's the price of gasoline. Okay, so we're there. We're there at the price of gasoline. Now, everything else that goes on top of that price, anything that I charge more than what that gasoline costs to manufacture, deliver, and to support all the other external costs, that is profit. Now, generally in a capitalist system, what we try to do is maximize profits for the shareholders. In other words, get as much money for the shareholders and bonuses for the executives. That's what we try to do. It's very important. Now, but how do we determine how high above our manufacturing and delivery costs can be? That is where the other word that I told you about, supply and demand, comes in. We know what the supply is, right? Rather, we know if a lot of people demand, this product, we can start charging a very high price, irrespective of supply, right? If a lot of people want it, and they have the money to do it, I can actually sell. Now, here's a kicker, though. If we have competition, right? I have my competition in order to get market share, in order to get me to buy from Exxon as opposed to buying from all the 10 other manufacturers of gas, and we don't have that many manufacturers of gas, we have to play this game of I lower my price, you lower your price, I lower my... So we get a competition to get to the lowest point above what my manufacturing and delivery cost is. And there's a sweet spot, right, where you drop the price until you have that better price. We're talking all supply and demand right now. But under capitalism, right, where I must maximize the profit at all costs for my shareholders and maximize bonuses for my executives, what do? If I see a company is making some money, I am going to buy that company as best as I can to remove my competition. And when I remove that competition, I start building a monopoly. And there's a lot of different ways to do it, right? You can buy the company, or you can have coercion, which means both of you decide we are not going to drop below this particular price. That's how we do it, right? We cannot drop below this particular price. And that's what we do. So, remember, we're talking three things. Price and power. You have price and power if there is nobody that can compete with you, or you have the market. The market belongs to you. You have price and power. Supply and demand. If there is enough demand and supply, the prices also go down based on there being enough supply to meet that demand. So that is a restraint on you as well. What are we trying to accomplish here, or why do I call the private sector the thugs in ties and suits? Because of the following. We just got out of a pandemic. People are suffering, right? And the government decides, for those who are suffering, we are going to put money in their pockets so that they can do the things that they need to do, which means now that we have enough money to chase that abundant supply of gasoline. Again, we have enough supply. But we are going to raise the price of gasoline until that amount of money that the government and others gave to these people to spend, till they have exhausted it. And what's the maximum amount of money anyone can spend? What is that known as? Whatever the market can bear. What can the market bear for the individual? For any individual, you or anybody else, what can the market bear? The total income that you make from your job, or maybe from welfare, or maybe from whatever, your total income there, plus whatever you have in savings, if you have any savings, plus whatever you can get in credit. When you have exhausted your credit, when you have exhausted the amount that you can spend per month in income, and when you can exhaust whatever other sources you have, at that point, that is where the market freezes. And that is where that is a maximum price that they can put an object. So what do these plutocrats know? These plutocrats know that Americans were given a lot of money. They were given money to get ahead, not to pass it right back to the plutocrats. Inflation, however, inflation is the way the plutocrats, the legal criminals, take back everything that was given to you. So when Eric Hayes comes and he says, well, look, yes, people got their monies, they got increased wages, but it went with inflation. He's right. It's the evil thing to do. We give you a raise, and we raise the price of all these products. So in effect, we annihilate the raise. Because again, what do these corporations have because there's not ample competition? Pricing power. I did a video on pricing power. Look it up. So what I'm trying to tell all of you folks is this. You can't blame the government for something the private sector is predisposed to do and does. The private sector is there to make money for a few. Those who own the stocks in these companies, those who own all of this, that's who serves, that's who the private sector cares about. Nothing else. And as much money as you have, they will raise their prices to maximize whatever they can get from you. There are no shortages. We are swimming in oil. Saudi Arabia can pump more oil if they want to. Venezuela, we could decide to open up Venezuela and stop the embargo on Venezuela. There's ample oil all over. I don't want, as an environmentalist, I don't want that oil out there. I really don't. I'm kind of glad if the price of oil would go to $10 a barrel. $10 a gallon. Then people would really start buying those electric cars, and people would really start doing all these things that they need to do to burn more. But whenever you go ahead, again, we can regulate inflation by the Federal Reserve increasing interest rates, which is what they're going to do, right? But guess who gets hurt right now? And this is where I talk about the evil of the economic system. Whenever inflation occurs, who gets hurt? The small man, the little person, they get hurt. All right? Whenever inflation, whenever they start to tighten money supply, who gets hurt? That same person who has less money. And who always win? The person with capital. Daniel Edo said the following, and you know what is very dangerous? What is very dangerous when somebody thinks they know something and does not. Daniel Edo says, whoa, shocking ignorance on the oil market and how it works. I'm sorry. I know exactly how the oil market works. The market is the entire world. That's what the market is, and that's So I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see. Stop blaming the government for the economy right now. If we raise the interest rate, there will be a downturn in the economy, and there will be a recession. Exactly, Dawn. Exactly. It is important, but people don't understand. The only people that hurt the economy, that causes these problems in the economy, it's the private sector. The corporatocracy. The corporatocracy looks to see what's the maximum they can extract. And those who don't have capital don't benefit from the maximum. So let me give an example. I always give the term, the market system is good for 20% and 80% of the people are slaves. And this is what I mean by that, right? Yeah, a lot of people own a little bit of stocks here and there. But those people who own enough of their well-being in stocks, right? It is okay that all this inflation comes. It is okay that, first of all, whenever these price increases come, take a look at the stocks. If you doubt it, just look at the stocks right now. As soon as the dollar store said they were going from a dollar store to a $1.25 store, the stock zoomed. It's not like we had 25% inflation, but they increased the price by 25%, right? It went through the roof. So those people who had stocks did very well. They did way above inflation, but the person who had to pay the increased cost in interest rates, in the inflated prices, they're the ones who pay the price. So my thing to Democrats right now who are going out there is they don't need to be scared of inflation as something that's going to take them down. They need to go ahead and attack the corporations now. They need to shame the corporations and point out that it is a defect in this capitalist system which needs to be changed, that actually creates a system that pilfers whatever gains Americans get. Because if Americans make gains and are making more money, and you go ahead and price your product because there's more money out there, I can increase my price even though there's not a shortage. That is how the system works. It's not even wrong. It is by design that the system works. It is by design. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.